Hello, everybody. Today we have Mr. Aryan Tiwari with us. Mr. Aryan is a project lead at Fidelity Investment. First of all, I would like to welcome you, sir, for giving your time for this chat with us. As we know, sir, throughout your career, you have worked on a lot of projects and know a lot about how project management works. So I request you to kindly give a brief about one of your latest project that you have worked in, and what were some of the key insights about it.
Thank you, Raghavan, for having me. Uh, so I have worked on various projects, and basically I'm more into software domain. But one of the recent projects which I worked on was basically we had to develop an application for L3 people. So what happens is how our organization works is we have different levels. For example, level one interacts with the customers or users, and then there is L2. L2 provides support to L3 and basically acts as a bridge between L1 and L3. And L3 people are software developers. So what happens is, for example, whatever service my team is providing to the users, what happens if in case the service goes down, so the users go ahead with the L1. They interact with L1 and they basically complain, or they whatever inconvenience that they are facing with the service, they provide it to them. Now, what happens is basically L1 people are not very much into technical field. So we wanted to develop an application so that they can basically get to know from the application what is the main cause, the root cause of the why the service is failing again and again. And before that, before the development of that application, what used to happen is they used to give it or register a complaint with L3 people. And then L3 people have to troubleshoot all the services. They have to check all the services all together. And that used to take quite a lot of time. So with this application, what will happen is they will directly know which service is down and how is it basically hampering the user experience. And then they can go ahead with the L3 people, and the L3 people can directly work on it, or whatever bug is there, they can fix it. So yeah, this is the main goal of the project that is happening recently, that we have worked on recently.
Okay, I think this is quite a
So,
bit of complex project, but throughout this conversation, we'd like to dig more deeper into it and see what were the insights and all from this. So I would request my team members one by one. We'll ask you certain questions, and I expect you to kindly answer us and enlighten us with whatever knowledge that you have. So yeah.
Sure, sure, sure.
hi, my name is Prakhar. So, the first question is, what are the key goals and objectives of this project?
There were many objectives. First of all, is basically before starting any projects, we need to fix the timeline so that it happens in a fixed amount of time, and it should not take a lot of time, or we should not set any objective or any goals which cannot be accomplished in a fixed amount of time. And secondly, since I told you that we are dealing with people who are making an application for people who are not into too much technical stuff, so we wanted the user experience or the details to be as user friendly as possible, so that it is convenient for them to understand and basically go ahead with the L3 people or software developers. Another was basically scalability. So before we start with any project, like the end goal of this project was to basically provide an option to L1 people only, so that they can restart the service. So there are there are few technical terms which we had to explore for that. And there are features, there are software features which can help you with doing that. So you can basically just with a click, you can restart the service. So that was the end goal. So similarly, these were the objectives that we had to basically we planned during before the initializing the project. Another was, like I mentioned, since every team has provides around 40 services something to the users. So we don't want any lag in between. So if you're basically checking for all the services, what's their status? Is it up or is it down? Or what is the traffic that is coming to that service? It will take a lot of time. For 40 service, it will basically take a lot of time for L1 people also and L3 people also. So we had to speed up that process. So for that, we had to basically develop some code on Spring Boot and other applications, so that it works a little faster. So these were a few of the objectives that we had.
Hello, Aryan. Myself, WAJEEHUDDIN Ashraf. So, I'd like to ask, how do you prioritize tasks in the project?
So like I mentioned about this project only. So for this application, we had to first design the front end, then back end, and then we have to go ahead with the basically DevOps operations, and then we have to do in between code reviews and all. So how for this project, we divided tasks among our fellow teammates. So for example, few people went ahead with the front end part. They designed it using Angular and all. So these were, and then few people went ahead with the backend parts. So they did it on they were doing it on the Spring Boot. And then at the end, we had to raise PR requests. PR requests are basically approved by people who are there in higher positions. So they review and accordingly we move ahead. For example, if they feel that the code is not scalable or there's an issue, then we have to rework on that code. So there is step-by-step process that we follow. And similarly, we had people who are doing research or any other support that needs to be provided to this team. For example, there were many URLs that were needed. There were many API keys that were needed for going ahead with the backend part and front end part. So like this, we have prioritized these tasks. So for priority basis, we wanted at least the front end part or the application to be user friendly and to be developed first. And accordingly, we can add features in the backend part, and then we can integrate both of them. So like this, we move ahead with the and in between we do regular meetings. So we get to know about what's the status of in going on in every step.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a question for you. What are the biggest risks in this project and how do you plan to manage them?
So the biggest risk that we faced was, first of all, basically the if you're working in an organization, they have some standards. So even in our organization, there are some standards which needs to be followed, and that standards can be in coding standards, or standards can be design experience. So for example, in our organization, we mostly use Angular as our framework. So the biggest challenge was the application that we are designing. This application is a part of another application. So the user experience needs to be similar. We don't want to design something that is not basically it should not look very different when for example, if we are using any of the app, for example, if you're using Swiggy or any Zomato, and for one of the features when we open or when you click on that app, suddenly a screen comes up which is totally different. Its theme is totally different from what app's theme is going on. So we didn't want that. So for that we had to check what is the code that is already written in the application, and accordingly we move ahead so that we can follow the same. Second biggest risk was basically that, like I mentioned, our team provides around 40-45 services to the user. So checking all the services all together takes a lot of time. So we wanted to reduce that delay. For reducing that delay, we had to basically dig up more in the software aspect, from where we can improve and from where we can improve with the coding part. This was also one of the risk that we were facing. And the third was, like I mentioned, the L1 people should understand what is there in the software, what are the terms that are there in the software, so that they can understand what is the problem. And in spite of checking all the services all together, they can directly report to L3 people, and the L3 people can work on it. So, so this the application that we have developed should be familiar with L1 people, and the terms or the fields that we are mentioning. The L1 people should understand it. So this is also one of the challenges that were there in the project.
Okay, so you have told a lot about or what are the risks, how you prioritize your task. But one of the key aspects of any project is communication, right? So, how you ensured effective communication between your team and the stakeholders that were involved in this?
Yeah, Raghvendra. So what happens is basically before we go ahead with any project, uh, our schedule is fixed. We fix our schedules on Jira, and there we have to basically we follow agile methodology. So there we have regular scrums and sprint meetings. So Scrum meetings happens on regular basis. Sprint happens after a week or 2 weeks. So in every sprint, we decide what is our future goal or what we are going to basically complete till the next sprint happens. For example, if we are taking a period of 14 days, what is the work that we are going to do in 14 days? And in Scrum, what happens is we discuss our daily progress. So what we have done, in case I am feeling that I need some support from any other person in the team, so I'll discuss it with him, and I'll in case take a follow up with him for what happened last day. So we discuss all this on a regular basis. So this ensures that we are all together, we are at the same page with respect to the project. And secondly, like I mentioned, basically there are many tools. For example, like I mentioned, Jira. So what happens is whatever we have, whatever progress that we have made, we update it on the Jira, and so that the next day when we come up again on that page, we can understand what we have done before, and we can discuss it further. So like this, our documentation part is also maintained, and we also, in case in future any particular part of the application is facing any issue, so we can get to know who worked on that application or who worked on that part at what time. So we can basically, in spite of any other person again going on with the code, understanding full code and then writing it again, it's easier that the person who has written it, they only go ahead and fix it. So the process becomes easier. So like this, these are the these few steps we take for ensuring smooth communication amongst us.
So I guess this was the last question. Any other questions you have? So with this, we'll conclude. So thank you, Aaron, for giving us your time, and your answers really gave us a clear picture and shows the importance of a project manager in a big firm. So yeah, this was us. This was our EL presentation phase one, and Raghvendra Sharma, Suryansh Singh, Prakhar Patwardhan, and myself, Wajid Nashra, in the team. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.